Jackie Dash, we're going to try this again. So we started and I totally stopped recording. So we're going at this again. But what I was saying is that me and Jackie went to high school together and we haven't spoken since 2007. But we've been speaking before this for about an hour now.
Today.
Over an hour. And it feels like no time's passed. And I don't know. I kind of sensed it. Like I was really looking forward to this. Looking forward to this conversation.
Me too.
I think you are a killer mom. And so looking forward to diving into that. I reached out to Jackie in particular for a couple of things, but one thing I wanted to try and touch on first, and we'll hop into, is you have a son, Wyatt, who's 4 years old and is autistic. I feel like personally, I don't know if it's recently or just in general, have run into a lot of people that either think their child may be autistic or they do have an autistic child. Like my sister, her 9-year-old was just diagnosed with autism. So it's just like a very, I don't know about common is the right word, but it's not unusual.
No.
And I think there's a lot of room to maybe try and understand what it actually is.
Yeah.
But then also I'm aware that like, it's not, this is what it is, right?
It's
like
a very broad spectrum.
A very like unique per child.
Per child, yeah.
So I guess I wanted to maybe start out with the beginning of Wyatt's journey. And like I mentioned, you had said that he was diagnosed at 6 months old. And I was just wondering if you could tell me how that came about, what that process was, and then maybe how that's like developed over the years.
Well, we're recording now, right?
We're recording now. We're live.
Don't hit that space bar. So we had Wyatt, and I don't know, when I was pregnant, I don't know if this has anything to do with it because I did not know anything about autism. I mean, I would hear people talk about it, but honestly, to me and my naive mind, then autism was, wow, they're really smart in one subject, one thing. And that's what my naive mind thought autism was. I didn't know anything about it.
Did you understand it more of like, like Asperger's? Like,
yeah.
Did you think of it more of like that? Where like there was this lack of social skills, but there was this heightened like ability to do math or whatever it is, right?
In a sense, yes. But even then, I wasn't very aware of the social aspect of it at all either, which goes to show you how much I did not know. But I took medicine when I was pregnant. I had the mood stabilizers, the antidepressants, and when you're bipolar, those two things are so important to keep taking. And I looked into it when taking those pregnant. I even asked the psychiatrist. I read this might cause autism. Has that happened to any of your patients?
So is it not genetic?
No, they believe it's genetic, but really, I don't know that they really know yet what causes it.
Right.
But of course, I had read something about this medicine, people taking it when pregnant, their kids came out autistic, and don't ask me why. I looked it up or why I asked, but there was one time and she said, no, that shouldn't have anything to do with it. I forgot it, put it out of my mind.
And what was it like? Was it one thing in particular? Because you said like mood stabilizers and something else. Like
that one, the mood stabilizer. But when you're bipolar, it is like crucial that you take these medicines because the pregnancy hormones, all of that, it's bipolar by itself is pretty hardcore. Right. Not taking that was crucial. So I kept taking it. Wyatt came 5 weeks early, perfectly healthy, 6 pounds, 7 ounces. Yeah. And we started doing the checkups, the monthly. I don't even remember now what the monthly checkups are, but 6 months is one of them.
Right.
And the doctor looked at me and she said, he's not sitting up by himself. He's not fully developing at the rate he should be. So she recommended ECI to come.
So so that's why I kind of asked this question, because I think, I don't remember what Juliet or Jonah were doing at 6 months, but I don't think it was much. Like,
yeah.
So like, when she says like he's not developing as he should, like what is that in reference to? Like, I mean, you just mentioned like sitting up by himself, but like other than that, like,
yeah,
what can a 6-month-old do? Like,
it's eye contact, answering to his name. He wouldn't answer to his name. He wasn't eating the way he should be. They usually, autistic kids only eat specific things, and at that point it was anything that was bread, white. He didn't. So
even at 6 months, you'd kind of like figured out like this is.
Yeah, well, I didn't. I was just like, he's just going slow. But there are so many things that he should have been meeting. They have that list of what your child should be doing, and he wasn't doing any of them. And so, but again, I have 2 kids before him, so I was like, he's just developing on his own time. This is my 3rd child. He's a boy. I was told that boys go at their own pace. Right. And I could see it in her eyes, though, that she thought maybe something else was up, but because she referred ECI, which is early childhood intervention.
Okay, so at 6 months, she's not saying, I don't know, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but she's not saying like he is autistic, or did she bring that up? Or was it just like...
the doctor didn't.
Okay.
That wasn't figured out until ECI came in. And this, her name was Angie. She was wonderful, wonderful. You can stay in ECI until you're 3. But she came over and did a few sessions. Like I said, we had 8 sessions a month with her.
And so still always like 6, 7, 8 months old. Like,
yeah.
Right.
So she comes in and she's working with him, and I didn't even understand what ECI was. I just thought we were getting to the bottom of why he was developing slower, and her job was to figure out if this was just him going slower at his own pace or if something was wrong. Well, I learned at that time he was hiccuping, and he still does it. He'll hiccup and he'll laugh out of nowhere. He'll spin himself in circles and he'll laugh to himself out of nowhere. The way that he does his eye movements, he'll do this rolling of the eyes side to side and kind of mumbling to himself. She was asking me, well, does he do this too? And I was like, the hiccups feel funny.
So like, where is he at? Like at this point, like. What you're referencing, like how old is he at this point?
No, he was 7 months, 6, 7, 8 months.
Oh, so these hiccups are occurring at that age.
This was, yeah.
Jeez, bro, this is hard to get my head around.
It's a lot, and to me, it still wasn't clicking. And one day, 6, maybe it was 7, 8, in that range, before a year, before 9 months, around 6 months is when she noticed it for sure. Further on into her going through the therapy and helping with all of that, she said, I think that maybe, and she stuttered a little bit, and I was like, think that maybe what? And she's just staring at me, and I was like, listen, I need you to be forward. I don't know what's going on, and I don't know anything about even why you're still here this many weeks later. Please be forward. Do not sugarcoat anything. I don't know what you're going to say, but I can see it in your eyes that it's going to be hard.
Right.
Because she's been with ECI for so long, years. So parents don't take this lightly.
Right.
She said, I think that he's probably autistic. He's got these tendencies, this, boom, 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 everything I just named off. And she said, we can do a 12-week program. It's called Pathways, the Pathways program. There's 12 chapters. Each chapter is for each week, and we work on whatever is in the chapter for that week. So she left the book. She was like, I'll let you think about it. And I was still like, what?
Whirlwind.
What do you, because he's so young.
Right.
And then again, my naive mind, I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So I called Matt, Wyatt's dad, and I was like, she thinks that he's autistic. And this is when like everything started spiraling, like a downfall spiral into emotions, opinions. It triggered so many different things for everybody, because now everybody has an opinion about him being young and autistic, because usually they don't diagnose them this early.
Right.
That's not normal.
So that's unusual.
Yes, it is.
Right.
So at that point, I had to fill out paperwork to get him on the list for the Child Study Center. Mm-hmm. That is where the official diagnosis comes from. But before you can get there, I had to have ECI paperwork and everything to back up why they thought this. He's already been to the Child Study Center twice, diagnosed. He has to go another time when he's 5 to see where he was at.
What, is this like a reoccurring thing? Like,
yes, because he was diagnosed so soon, they didn't know exactly where he was on the spectrum, because that's where it's hard to tell between a child, toddler, babies doing kid things,
right,
throwing toddler temper tantrums, or autistic meltdowns. And it's hard to tell between the two, which is why parents don't accept it this soon or that soon.
Yeah.
So we started there and nobody wanted to accept that he was autistic. Meanwhile, I'm in the back going, what is it? What is it?
So, like, are you, like, I mean, did you know any moms that had any?
No, I didn't know. Well, I take that back. Matt's nephew, they believe social skills and everything, that he had it, but he was never diagnosed.
Right.
Nobody took him to the doctor to get diagnosed. They just assumed that that's what he had had. So in our heads, I thought maybe that's what it is. But his nephew is not severe. So
I mean, so what are you doing then? Like, you get dropped this bombshell, like, if you don't know anybody, like, I don't know, like, what are you?
Exactly. This is when people start to show up. Like, hey, I know so-and-so who has an autistic child. This is when my family goes out to find anybody who has a child that's not just autistic, but any special needs, any disability, just to say what they can, because it's just wasn't anything I had heard of. My naive brain. And so it went from me telling Matt about what the ECI lady had told me to him saying, well, we don't know. We don't really know because he's just this many months old.
Which seems fair.
Yeah, it does. But also, I was there by myself, listening to her, reading this 12-chapter book. Every chapter we went to, he had everything on it as we kept going. So we started there at the 6-month mark. And then the Child Study Center also said they believe he was autistic and he was on the higher, not the higher functioning, more severe, but not like super insane severe, because that is a really wide spectrum.
When did the ECI give him that diagnosis? Was it a few months later, or
the ECI or the Child Study Center?
I may be getting confused on what the difference is.
The ECI was the one
The Child Study was with what's her name?
that's in Fort Worth.
Yeah. And then ECI.
ECI was first.
Sorry.
Yeah, you okay? It's a lot.
The Child Study Center. Mm-hmm. That's where you're saying they give the actual diagnosis.
Yes. They're the ones that give the say. They're the ones that specialize specifically in diagnosing.
So when did they, sorry, I guess that's what I was trying to get to. When did they give that to Wyatt?
He went in there when he was 1.
Got it.
Yes. And then 2.
So every year.
Yes. Well, except for 3 and 4. She said, come back when he's 5 and then we'll know more on what end. So when he turned 3 and we had done the Pathways program, ECI couldn't have him anymore because that is an age that is too old. They work with him till 3. After 3, that is when places offer the programs, special needs programs.
Right.
So, we had just built the house in Frost, moved there. Frost is a town of, the sign says like 694 people.
Is it that small?
It's tiny.
Holy cow.
The school is kindergarten through 12, or no, pre-K through 12.
Wow.
No iPads.
Do they have like a special needs?
No.
Wow.
No. However, I did meet a mom who has a child. He just turned 11. He is autistic. She was the one mom in Frost that came to me and was like, listen, it's going to be okay. Ashton is autistic. He goes to Frost.
How old was her kid?
At the time, because that was 2.5 years ago, so I think he might have been 8. 8, 9, 10. Yeah, he's probably 8 at that time. But she's lived there like her whole life, I think. So he's been at that school. So she gave me more comfort. Like her daughter cheered with my daughter. So when I was there, Wyatt was there. And she was the one that was helping me get through the whole diagnosis of it all.
Yeah.
Because Matt worked so much. And I didn't know anything about it. So
Right.
I was learning a lot through her. And she is so big on autism awareness and everything to do with that.
So was she plugged into any kind of community? Like, did you find...
No, unfortunately, there was nothing really there that we felt would be good or good enough for Wyatt from where he was. So we did a lot of research on what schools would offer the best programs.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, Mansfield and Midlothian had the 2 best programs for special needs.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all. But you have to fill out an application. They only accept a certain amount of kids. You have to be at a certain place with the special needs for them to consider that you need to be in the program.
Yeah, so recently, my sister, she's been trying to get her daughter into, I think it was either a school, sorry, forgive me, Chelsea, for not knowing this, school or something, and the application process was nutty. It was like, you have to do it like a year in advance, like you have to have all these kind of things, like, it seems really, really stringent. So
it is. It's, in my opinion, there are not enough special needs teachers in the world. Like, I wish there were more. And I think that might be one of the things that has to do with, too, there's, like you said, from what I'm also noticing, like you were noticing, I'm noticing more autistic children that I was not aware of before. We decided Midlothian would be best because my family was there. Matt's family was in Waxahachie. So Matt had bought a house. We applied for the special needs program, and depending on where you are on the spectrum or wherever, you either get 3 days or 5 days, and the more severe get the 5 days. So he got...
Sorry, 3 or 5 days of what?
School. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
The program is at the elementary school. So
Right.
you get to ride the bus. Like, the bus comes to his house or our house to pick him up. He loves the school bus. Oh, my goodness.
I mean, so that's like, I don't know. That's the interesting thing is because like even then I was like, oh, is he okay with the bus? Because like I would imagine it seems like every detail is like some kind of like, oh, he doesn't like this or.
And it's so when he got accepted, we knew he'd already been in daycare. So he was okay with daycare and used to that. But going to school, we have a very specific schedule that he follows. We try to shake it up every so often, but if you shake up his schedule,
it really throws him off.
Yes,
right.
And it's not fun for anyone. So first off, we had to get him a tent to go over his bed.
I saw that.
It's so cool.
That black tent thing.
Yes.
What is the main
purpose?
What is that satisfying for him?
Okay, so he was constantly, and we had read about this. Most autistic children, when they find, like, they want to sleep with their parents or be in the room or be with somebody, Wyatt, I take that back. Wyatt won't sleep in a room with people without being awake. He'll want to be with you in that room, but he's not sleeping if he can see you, if he can see anybody. So when they start getting out of their beds, Matt and I didn't know what to do. And I thought, wow, we need to figure something out because we weren't sleeping. He was busting open doors on that light. He was turning on all the lights.
Oh,
he was ready to party. No sleep. I don't know what kind of energy that was.
Was he like sleeping during the day? Like
no naps. But no, when he finally got old enough to climb out of his crib, we were all done for. Even his sisters, he'd go into there, and because the house we're in, the lights are. We have no idea why the lights are so low on the wall, but they're like kid size. So, and which is crazy. Matt's 6'4", and the lights are down to the point to where Wyatt is like, man, these are for me, and they're the easy ones, the click click, like little tap, not the switches. So he was going through every room, busting it open, like, sup, guys. I'm coming in.
Jeez.
And we're waking up and we're just gonna stare at each other.
So how did y'all come across this, like
the tent?
Because it's like it's black, but it blacks out.
Yeah.
The is he in that top bunk? Is that where he sleeps?
No, he's in just a twin bed.
Yeah. Okay, so it covers the bed.
You put the mattress in it. Yeah.
How did you come across this? I've never even seen something like this.
I had been looking stuff up online. I didn't find this specific tent, but Matt has an employee at work who has an autistic child, and they started using this tent, and they said, hey, man, it's working for us. Just try it out. Yeah. So $150, I think is what the tent was.
Wow.
Yes. But here's the kicker. There are zippers everywhere. You can escape. If he found a zipper, he's escaping. Mm-hmm. So we had to find a way, like we used a bread tie to zip tie the zippers shut so he couldn't bust out.
Yeah.
Because if he could get out, he was going to get out.
Was he doing that when you first set it up? Oh,
yeah. We found every zipper there was on this thing. But in the end, it is his safe place to him.
So does he go there like during the day or?
Yes. If he gets, this is his thing. If he gets in trouble for doing anything, it's, I'm going to go night-night. I'm so mad.
Yeah.
Or I'm so sad. Like, it's his place to go when he's in trouble or mad to him. It's not us. We don't say, go to your bed, you're being punished. It's his place that he goes, that he knows he can calm down, breathe, go back to normal, lay down in his bed. It's just his safe spot.
Right.
And because of that, he sleeps great in there. Thank the Lord. We all started getting sleep.
So is he sleeping during the night now?
Oh, yeah. He will. We still have the monitor in there. It was. Oh my gosh, it was. I recommend that to anybody. And when I had put it out there, surprisingly, Cedric Bryant, he has an autistic son. Oh. He reached out to me and got the tent, and he said, "Thank you so much."
Really?
Yes.
That's
he said
so wild.
It saved him and his, I don't know if they're married, his husband or boyfriend. Yeah. I'm not sure. But he said it saved them and their sleep, and I felt so touched. I was like, wow, if I can help anybody, that is amazing.
That's just crazy.
I don't know what it is with autism and sleep, but I know they don't.
Yeah.
They will not. That tent was a lifesaver. We have one for the house, and if we go anywhere, you bet you're
taking it with you.
Yep. Yeah. It's going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship.
Nice. Nice little plug.
So, yeah, that is his.
I had another particular question about this. Mm-hmm. So, like, as Wyatt's growing up, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like, obviously, as he's growing up, he's changing. Mm-hmm. And how you interact with his autism and how he understands it or develops in it, like I would imagine that it's a constantly evolving process. Like you could figure out a routine, you could figure out like you do this and this, and it may change. But like even just like as a growing kid, like it's gonna be a fluid understanding. But my question was, how did you? What's the way to word this? How did you present it to Raylan and Peyton, and then how did they
take it? Yeah,
take it, but then like how did they like, you know what I mean?
Handle it the way.
Yeah.
So they have been on this journey with us the entire time, adjusting to him, and
because they're 8 and 6 when.
Yes, 8 and 6.
Right.
I think that's what it was, 8 and somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So they were there through some of his sessions. We told them what he was diagnosed with, and they just treat him like a normal child. They didn't understand it in the beginning,
no.
But we were all learning together. We had told him Bubba's not the same. Bubba's different. He's learning different. So this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to do things and handle him. So we're all learning together. But they treated him like he's a normal child. The only difference, Wyatt does not like it if you are singing.
Okay.
He does not like it if you are crying. If you're getting in trouble, he thinks it's hilarious. No.
Funny
I mean, it's...
Yeah.
He thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, it was hard for them to, because they like to sing and dance.
Right.
And no, Wyatt was not having that. So having to change things, which... in the end, they said, don't change what you're doing because he needs to get used to that. But I cannot explain the way he reacted when anybody sings or cries. It's a meltdown. He has this strange meltdown. So they had to get used to that adjustment for the longest time. Also, Wyatt didn't want anything to do with Ray. And she's 9. She's about to be 9 this month. She was so upset because he would not play with her. But he didn't play with kids. He didn't want to play. He wanted to do his own thing. He didn't want to be hugged or anything like that. And she tried so hard, that poor girl. Now they're best friends. But it took years to him adjusting. Peyton, she's just older, and she helped a lot. Like help mom do this and this. But they did have to adjust to a lot.
It's the reason when I asked that question, because I think it's crazy interesting, and even like as you're talking, it's just like there's so many layers to it, like because like I said earlier, my niece was recently diagnosed, and like it's been an interesting journey whenever our kids to go hang out with Kinsley, and trying to, because they obviously understand that like I guess they understand that Kinsley has a disability, but they're still trying to work through of like, you know, like she'll come over and just take their stuff, and they see it as like a mean act, but it's like you can't, like it's not meant to be mean. Like she just wanted it, and she doesn't understand that like that you had it in your hands, like the whole like kids that age are just trying to understand how humans work, like. So, like, they're watching us, how we interact with people, and then, like, they're obviously figuring out if they have siblings, like, how to interact with one another. And then, like, you kind of factor in this, like, oh, this person doesn't play by those rules. Like,
how did they find out, if you don't mind me asking? 9 years old? I mean, that might be, I don't honestly know what the main age range. What made them say, okay?
Yeah, so, Tulsi, forgive me, because I'm going to butcher this. Kinsley's is a bit unique in that I think there was something wrong with the structure of her brain. And I think for the last, I don't know when, I can't remember when it started, like there started to be questions asked, or like there was like, maybe we need to look into this. I can't remember what age that was. But I know for a long, long time, it's been a lot of like, EKGs, brain monitoring, like
they do that.
So, from what it seemed like, there was just a vast misunderstanding, or not a vast like we don't know. So the autism diagnosis that occurred recently, and it was part of like a school, trying to get into a school or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Again, Chelsea, I'm sorry, I don't know all these details perfectly. But her diagnosis came later because I think there was so much like, is this actually like autism, or is this something like because this part of the brain isn't working that's causing like, because what she primarily struggles with is seizures. Her big thing has been seizures, and so trying to work out medicine and just all that kind of stuff. So hers is a bit unique.
That would be a challenging.
Yeah. Chelsea is a monster, like best mom ever.
It is so important. It, like I told you before, parents accepting something is different about their child is extremely hard. You don't want to think something is wrong or that they're different. They're all special and unique.
Yeah.
And you have to adjust your entire life for them.
Right.
But it is so much better to accept anything in the early stages, to start early and get them help early, or do the journey with them.
Right.
Your poor sister, that's a long time. Seizures would complicate any diagnosis. In my mind, that would be hard to go from seizures to autism.
Yeah.
That would be, I give your sister props.
She's a champion, dude. An absolute champion.
Yeah. And seeing life through a child with disabilities Wyatt is happy for the most part all the time. He sees life as it is. God comes in on this a lot to give us strength for him, but there are times where I'll look at him and I'll cry and think, is it my fault that you have special needs? Or I can stop and say, Jackie, stop being stupid. Like, God gave you Wyatt for a reason.
Yeah.
What are you learning from this? Or where are you going to go? Or how are you going to teach Wyatt if you can't see the way he sees life? Because it's so hard and yet so rewarding at the same time. But you never know what's going to happen. We know that he will probably live with us for the rest of his life. And we've accepted that. And eventually we have this plan of, this is a little off topic, but we took Peyton to leadership camp, or church camp, the other week.
Yeah.
And when we were there, I started to tear up. And Matt said, well, what are you thinking about? And I said, well, Wyatt's never going to get to do this. He's never going to get to go to a camp like this. First off, a lot, I don't want to say all because I can't speak for all autistic children or people. Bodies of water, they are drawn to. That is where they go. They love water. And it comes with accidents.
Yep.
And I am afraid that if there was a camp, that's where he would go first because that's where he wanted to go when we dropped Peyton off.
Yeah.
Water. So I just looked at Matt and I said, maybe we should have a camp for special needs kids. Not just autistic kids, but...
Is there not one?
I looked up some. They're hours away and they're expensive.
Right.
And Matt and I's thoughts were we could put back money, buy land, and Wyatt going to live with us forever. We thought we'd just make him a little home or apartment in the backyard somewhere, and he could help us work these autistic camps or special needs camps, which is going to be a plan down the road and not expensive. But I feel like all kids should be able to have that.
Yeah.
And me being me, tearing up, Wyatt won't. So.
Got me.
Did I get you? I cry a lot in a good and bad way, but. Are you okay?
Woo. Yeah, that's tough.
It's a lot of emotions and thoughts, and when I tell you, Matt has surely looked at me numerous times in tears, and now you got me crying. I just want him to have
Man,
a normal
rough
life.
combo.
I want him to have as normal of a life as possible. And that comes with being able to do what other kids do. Normal kid. Well, not everybody's normal, but kids without disabilities. I feel special needs kids, autistic kids, they need to have fun too. But you have to adjust to what they want.
Right.
Or how they are. And Matt said, well, maybe we can have one devoted to like crafting. Wyatt loves to color. And I do mean on everything. He loves colors. That's specific. He likes to color. He loves dinosaurs. He could tell you the name of 50 different dinosaurs. I didn't even know there were 50 plus dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Books. They love books. It's his little class. I've been to his class with those kids, and God bless his teachers. They have helped him so much.
So is he in like a small, like a smaller class, like a special ed class, or
He is in the elementary school that Ray goes to. So it's at J.R. Irvin. And, those teachers are godsends. I mean, I'm telling you, if there are people on the fence about teaching special needs, it is so needed. I don't know how they do it, because being a parent to an autistic child, you know everything the way your child likes it.
Yeah.
These teachers learn and love their kids, and they learn how each kid handles everything. That has to be challenging, because Wyatt's still in diapers. He's gonna be 5 in September.
Yeah.
We haven't even begun potty
Right.
training, and these teachers are doing everything for these kids.
How many kids are in his class, if you don't mind me asking?
They just added a few more. I believe there's 12. Or he started out
12?
Yeah, he started out with 11 and then 12, and now they're where they had to bring another teacher in.
How many teachers are there?
2.
What the?
That's why they had to bring. I know they have teachers' aides though, but there are 2 main teachers, and we just had a conference, not a conference, a Zoom meeting. We do the goals. They write down the goals, where they start, where they need to be, like, and the kids are so. Wyatt's one of the most severe in his class, and you don't really realize where your child is severe or not severe until you put him next to other kids. He's not the most severe, but he is one that he's. When I look at him and then I look at the other kids, I mean, I've even looked at Matt and said, do they really have special needs? But they do in their own way. And the teachers have to learn that. Like, when Wyatt has little meltdowns, we have to do compressions. And that's...
I was going to ask you, is there like a tactile?
There is. And we don't have to do them as much anymore, but... he gets in these modes, meltdown modes. He will start to move his eyes back and forth and talk to himself. But usually when he's talking to himself, the way that he's communicating is through all the books we read to him. He's memorizing the words of the books.
Yeah.
So he'll start reciting Pete the Cat and this cool magic sunglasses, blue sunglasses, or Pete the Cat and the cool shoes. Or he's reading a little book that's called Hoot for about an hour.
Yeah.
Yesterday, he was doing his little eye movement and laughing, going, hoot, hoot, hoot.
Interesting.
Yes. And when he does that, it's like a sensory overload. We have to push his shoulders together and count to 10. And
like out loud?
Yes. And it calms him down. It's crazy. But it gets all his feeling back. It's when they have those kind of sensory overloads, it's almost like they can't feel themselves. I believe that's how we were told. And the compressions, bring them back to the normal, like, oh, I can feel. Like, Wyatt will take his 2 pointer fingers and put them together and stare at them and look at them because he's trying to decipher, I guess, from his feelings to hear. It's crazy, but each kid has their own way of the meltdowns. Like, in the morning, he has to have orange juice, a waffle, and a Nutri-Grain bar. Both, and I don't ever know if he's gonna eat the waffle or the Nutri-Grain bar that day, but he's gotta have those 2 options. Right. We always have waffles in our house, and I mean, we've got boxes of Nutri-Grain bars in the pantry. We have Nutri-Grain bars in the cars, in the backpacks. There's always one somewhere.
Yeah, on hand.
That's every single morning. He has to have those 3 things. And got to be strawberry Nutri-Grain bar. Got to be a regular waffle. Certain flavor. He smells them. He can smell. Like, if I open it and it's cherry, it looks the same as the other ones. He'll smell it and give it back.
That's
He's
crazy.
like, no.
Like a bloodhound.
Hershey's chocolate has to be Hershey's chocolate. Gotta look like the Hershey's bar. No. Gotta be that. Or what are those special expensive balls of chocolate? Lindor. God, those are the ones. Has to be milk chocolate.
Wow.
Can't be a different color. Dino Nuggets.
I wanted to, sorry, if we can go back a little bit, because I'm like aware with compression and like that autism and like tactile things are a very big deal, but I don't understand why. I don't know if you, like, can you explain like what's happening? Like, so when he's like, I mean, I guess you maybe did explain it. When he's having a tantrum or like he's having like a sensation overload, what is it about? Is the compression that like it's just like it's closing things in? Like, is it a sense of like not letting things because when he's having a tantrum, like he's just like, I would imagine he's yelling, like just like it's an out expression, right? Like you're getting out of your body, like all the frustration or whatever you feel. So is compression in particular for kids with autism a way of like trying to condense all that together?
From my understanding, it's almost so. I guess I could compare it to this. You know, they have weighted blankets, and they tell people with anxiety to use the weighted blanket when you're having a panic attack, and it's just bringing you to the sense of safety in a way.
Right.
I don't know if that's how it works with autism, but when they do the sensory overload and they have the meltdowns, it's to make them feel that they are, because they lose control of their feelings, and they're out of whack, and the tightness just brings them back to, oh, it's okay, I'm okay, I can feel again, I'm safe, I guess. He likes it. He'll tell me do ears. I don't really think they taught us to do compressions on their head, but I do it.
Well, like this?
Yes.
Like just covering his ears?
But tight, like squish for 10, and you have to count to 10, and he'll count to 10. And you go all the way down. Again, I don't think Matt does his head, but me being me, I was like, I don't remember where part of the body I'm supposed to compress.
Yeah.
So I go from head to feet to toes. You hold them tight.
Like head, shoulders,
yes,
chest, legs, then feet.
Yes. Just tight, counting to 10, and it's like magic. All of a sudden, he snaps back.
Really? Is it that
yes,
sudden?
It's crazy. I did it this morning before I left.
Jeez.
So he would eat, but it's one of those when he starts to get excited, and he'll do the little eye thing and say, recite books. I don't know what book it's going to be, but that's how he communicates.
That's interesting.
Let me think. What did he do? We went to a birthday party the other day. Mm-hmm. He got in the car. We said, we're going to a party. We're going to the party. Gets excited.
Yeah.
That's great. But now, every time we get in the car, he thinks we're going to a party. Meltdowns happen when you go places that aren't parties.
Right. So is there like a, how do I ask this question? Do you have to like plan for or bear in mind that, like, let's say y'all were trying to go to like the zoo, for example, or the aquarium or whatever, like, do you have to like bear in mind how much overload that might be for him? Like
road trips?
Well, just like, so like on a weekend, you want to take your kids to do something. Like, do you have to factor in like we may not be able to do that because it'll overload Wyatt's system? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I get what you're saying. Not mess up his little schedule.
Well, yeah,
in a way.
Yeah, or just like, because you're saying like if you say we're going to a party and he gets really excited, if he gets really excited, then he starts to lose control of his emotions. Like, so whenever you're just like planning something with Raylan or Peyton, like, and you're bringing Wyatt along, or if you're just taking Wyatt somewhere, like, do you have to be like, okay, is this going to be, do we need to pick more of like, I guess that, for lack of a better word, do we need to pick more of a duller experience so that it doesn't, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the way we do it, and I get what you're saying, and some parents might do that so that way their child doesn't get overwhelmed or sensory excitement or
right.
Matt and I just wing it. We want Wyatt to be able to learn how to adjust in the real world. We want to always have those options for him. So even if we know he's going to have a meltdown, we're going to have to let it happen so that way he understands this is the real world, because one day, hopefully, he'll be able to go out and hang out with friends, or just a lot of people have it because the meltdowns and the sensory overloads, they do happen often. They're hard to deal with in public, especially. Mm-hmm. But if we don't take him to have little meltdowns anywhere in public, he's never going to know this isn't how you act in public when you're having these meltdowns. And so he does really good. He gets excited and overloaded and all of that, but it's only for a little amount of time. And then he realizes, okay.
It's like a fairly easy recovery.
Yes. Now it is. Now, I don't know. I mean, I'm used to packing them up and like going to my dad's, and he lives in San Antonio. Going to my mom's, who lives an hour and a half away. Taking him to the store these days is hard. I will say that, because now he doesn't want to sit in the cart. He wants to touch things.
Yeah.
He wants the toys, and he picks them up, and he doesn't understand that they're not his. Like,
right.
We went to Cavender's the other day, and it was rough because there was a section of stuffed animals. He has stuffed animals at home. So he's picking them all up. And I mean, he's overloaded with, he's just
trying to take it away from him.
Yes. Oh, man. So while Matt's looking for Boots, he's holding 20 animals in his tiny little arms. He thinks they're his.
Yeah.
Those are, we'd go to Walgreens, same thing with animals. Yeah. Those, he does have meltdowns. And I prepare for that by saying, all right, girls, we're going to go in. We'll let him look at the animals. Like, I'll get whatever it is that I need.
Yeah.
And when I say, Peyton, take my purse, Ray, head, I'm going through, picking him up like he's a football.
Yeah.
Dropping the animals and walking as fast to the car as I can, because there's no other way. He's going to have a meltdown at that point. Right. Now, when we did that the other day at Walgreens in Midlothian, you heard him as I'm holding him like a football. He's long. I look ridiculous as I'm like, come on, go faster.
Yeah.
Like, he's going, Mom, please. Please, Mom.
Bro.
I want animals. And Peyton's laughing. And Ray's like, why don't you give him the animals?
Yeah.
No, Walgreens animals, like $50. I got what I needed. Let's go. But it happens. The little meltdowns happen more often at stores, and we're aware of that, and we're prepared for it. But also, there are days that I'm just like, we're not going today.
Yeah.
So it happens on trips.
So y'all's approach more so is, rather than trying to live a lifestyle where you're trying to avoid meltdowns, just more of, like, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's just the way Matt and I wanted to approach it, again, because that's life.
That's tough, man.
It is, especially when you're not in the mood, knowing this is gonna happen, but you have to go, like.
And it's just a buzzkill, like.
Yeah, it is.
Even though, like, so.
A kid's strong. They're strong.
Yeah. By no means is Jonah on the same level, but he has tantrums, like tantrums. And we were at the zoo a few weeks ago, and typically Rosie will bring a stroller, so he's 4, so he can perfectly walk on his own. But she'll bring a stroller just in case he gets tired or starts getting grumpy, and I like started pushing it because Rosie and Juliet were doing something together, and he started having a tantrum. And it's just like when you're having a really good day, and then like Jonah, for example, just decides to throw down. It's just like such a buzzkill because it's just like, dude, everything was going so well.
Yeah. And
it's hard. Like the revelation I've starting to come around to. I don't know what it is for Jonah. I just know that when he gets mad, he gets super, super mad. But then once he comes out of it, he's totally fine. So whatever it may be, I've come to the realization that's what's occurring. And it's not he's just spoiled, or he's just greedy. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you want to associate a negative behavior to what you're seeing.
Yeah.
But recently it's been the understanding of like, oh, like, you're just out of control of this. Like, and we'll talk about it later, and like, we'll try and like avoid it. But like, in the moment, like, just trying not to get angry about it. Like, or just be like, God, this kid, like, which I struggle with heavily for the longest time.
Oh, yeah, we
like,
spanked the other two. We didn't spank Wyatt because you can't, because he thinks it's funny.
Yeah, that's a good point, isn't it?
It's challenge. He's like challenge accepted, man. So we don't spank him. We did spank the others. We have to approach things very differently with Wyatt. But they're strong. Kids are strong when they're mad.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, have you been lifting weights? Where did that come from?
Yeah. There's one other thing. So kind of switching, I mean, I guess still kind of talking about parenting, but you in particular I think you're the only person I know that has teenage daughters.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a lot of questions on this, particularly with how things are now, with like social media. Mm-hmm. I know this is a really vague question. What is your like thoughts, approach, like
take on it,
dealings with it? I mean, because I don't know, is this something they have? Like, it's a mind-blowing, because I say it's a mind-blowing thing because I see the negatives of it, particularly for girls, right?
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I don't even know where to start with this question, because like, I don't know, like, I guess what is like, how have you and Matt approached it? Have you dealt with it? Man, I'm all ears.
This is a big one, especially for her, Peyton being in middle school, and you know, we knew each other in middle school.
But we had
nothing. We had those
MySpace,
little, not even that. You had
Zynga
your
at the most.
Zynga, that's
yes.
right.
Yeah,
not just that, but I mean, we didn't really do that. We were playing. We didn't even have phones in. We had the little muscle machine.
It wasn't like a primary identity.
No,
right.
And that's the problem. And Peyton is having a hard time with that, because we don't let her have any of those. No Facebook. She had a TikTok until we realized that girls in middle school dance on there like they're at a strip club. They wear more makeup. The girls in the middle school now are very... If you don't have a phone, or if you don't have the social media, or if you don't have boyfriends dress like this, do this, dance, all these things, let's put it this way. We gave her a phone. She went and did the social media stuff. We looked at it. She hasn't had the phone back since.
To like Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah. They have more things than I do.
Yeah.
She had a group of boys the other day come up to her. She'll be so embarrassed, and said, "You have a hot mom." And Peyton was like, "Where did you see my mom?" On her Facebook. All of them have the Facebook. All stalking my Facebook. And because she can't have one, it is a big deal. Because you have to have that to be cool.
So that's one of the problems, is to not sound overdramatic. It's a dangerous tool, right?
It's horrible.
It could go really, really bad. But it's a digital society now. So a lot of communicating, like a lot of interacting is done online, which probably isn't a great idea, but it is what it is. Like,
yeah.
So that's one of my questions, is like, did y'all just say, hey, like, we're just not going to bring this in and then take it as it is? Like,
I think it was more so the amount of time they spend on these social medias and what they're looking at and constantly doing is when Matt and I said, no, you can't have that, because it I don't even know how to explain it. It was taking away from everything else, from her having fun outside.
Like the amount of time that they're spending.
Yes,
right.
it was. And the phones, all of it. I mean, she sent more text messages in a week or two than we sent in a month. And I text a lot.
Yeah.
But she was also spending time on Snapchat. I can show you my pictures now. Snapchat, she looks in the mirror all the time. It became them idolizing looks, the way they look.
Man, that's it, isn't it? Like,
I didn't even let her try out for cheerleading because...
What, Raylan?
No, Peyton. Because the way that these kids... That's all they think about is the way they look. Those little girls are talking about sex and being pregnant and boyfriends every other day. And, oh, did you see so-and-so's TikTok? Or you need to do this dance. Or, hey, look at this girl on Instagram. She's got her shirt up, crop tops, short shorts. We felt it was a negative thing for her to see. And I don't want her to grow up and think looks and popularity comes straight from social media.
Have you had a conversation with them about it in particular?
Yes. And I'm that parent that is probably too open and honest.
You obviously don't have to share it, but like, how, like, the difficulty, it seems, is like there's a disconnect between parent and child, where parent obviously knows and can like empathize with what they're going through, but the child doesn't get it. Like, they're like, you don't understand. Like, it's a different time. Like, how does that conversation where you're just trying to like convey like, hey, this, like, what's happening here? So like, you comparing yourself to like X girl on Instagram, whatever, like, it's not healthy and it's not real. Like, in particular, I'm just thinking of like all these filters that can be applied towards like, that's not what she looks like. Like, I don't know, man. That's such a crazy conversation. Like,
so I guess the way I approached it was different than the way Matt approached it.
that's another interesting take as well. Yeah.
Yeah, him and I have different views on almost all things.
Nice.
But he's a dad, and the way I said was because they get caught up in the looks and the weight and how flat your stomach should be and how this and this. Like, Peyton is in the mirror looking at herself all the time. And the way I said it was, listen, I had an eating disorder back then. I wanted to look exactly like these girls look, and that's what you're doing. And you're concerned about abs and everything. I said, that's not how you get through life. This YouTube, social media, the way you look is, you can be pretty and people are going to think that you are too good. Like, you think you're too good for people. And you're not. That's not how I'm raising you. I'm raising you to be you. I said, this doesn't get you boyfriends. This doesn't get you a scholarship. This doesn't get you any of those things. And I said, the last thing I want is for you to think, or boys even in the future, to think that this is who you are by all your pictures and your filters. I said, you don't get jobs this way either. Like, there are so many things. I was like, this isn't how life works. Like, if you were to go apply for a job, the first thing I'm going to go look at is your social media. And I went far with it.
It's just so crazy because, like, you're right. You're 100% right. But, like, they're not thinking, I mean, maybe
they're not thinking about
a job. Like,
no, they're not thinking about any of it. They're thinking it's popularity status to them.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I was going to say is, like, from an adult perspective or a parent perspective, you can see, like, this isn't the big picture.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't that, like, but to them, that's their entire world.
It's
like,
popularity. And that's exactly what Peyton has told me. She has said, well, so-and-so has this. Well, she has this. Well, like, we took makeup away from her. That girl They do better with makeup than I do. And they're allowed to have phones in school. They have phone breaks.
No way?
Yes. Even at lunch, they're allowed to have. It's like, that's what they do. There are girls taking Snapchat pictures in the bathroom. They also smoke vapes in middle school in the bathroom. It's not the same that Peyton goes in my closet all the time and wears my clothes. Now she has a booty and I don't. So my pants on her. She walked out in Holy jeans the other day that were mine, and Matt said, "No, take them off. They're showing too much skin." And of course, in my head, I'm like, "Wait, those are mine though." Oh. It really is all about social status. Do you have, what's your Snapchat? What's your TikTok? What's all this? It warps their minds, and it makes them think the world outside of their home is something it is not. Like, I don't know if you heard about the time she decided to run away, and we had...
I think I saw that, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well, she thought that she could run away and somebody was going to pick her up and give her money and take care of her, and they were...
way.
Yes, and
Wow.
Matt and I couldn't understand. I was like, wait, who told you that? What are you watching? I watch a lot of murder documentaries. Are you not listening?
Yeah, right.
I'm scared if somebody is just randomly sitting outside my house. You were just going to go hitchhike? Like, somewhere to where? And you thought they were going to take care of you?
Yeah.
The way social media is nowadays makes them think they have to be like this, or else nobody is going to like them. And that seems to get worse and worse with age. They have to have a boyfriend every other day.
I would like to venture into that topic if you...
Yeah, go ahead.
If you can. Is that something that y'all have dealt with yet or encountered? Like...
Yes, actually. We told her no boyfriends. But you know Corey McDonald?
Yeah.
His kid? That is her boyfriend.
Really?
Yes, Carter.
Wow.
But it's not...
Oh, is this like a now thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's not... They don't go to the same school. She didn't have a phone. Camille is Carter's mom, and she's my best friend. Mm-hmm. And Carter's been around since kindergarten, and he's not... I think... He's not like the other boys. But again, we have said no boyfriends because boyfriends were warping her mind, and she was messing with her grades, and girls there will punch you if you're dating somebody they want to date.
Oh, man.
Peyton's very open with me about all of these things. She tells me what they talk about. Like, some of these girls want to get pregnant when they're 16. And they've talked about it. Well, I had the sex talk with Carter and Peyton the other day. While Carter was
with them both?
Yes,
Wow.
because he was at the house hanging out. And I said, y'all aren't allowed to go in rooms together. And Carter and Peyton were like, okay, why? And I said, because we don't want y'all to have sex.
Yeah.
And they both looked at me and they're like, ew. They don't even hug.
Yeah.
They don't hold hands. I said, I had sex when I was 14. Y'all are 12. Y'all are going to get pregnant. And I don't want that because I don't want you to ruin your future. And of course, they're like, why are we having this conversation?
It's it's a mind-boggler of a question. Obviously, we're not anywhere near that stage yet.
Dads see it differently. Matt's like, absolutely not. We didn't graduate college, and we want her to. And in our mind, right now, boys are a distraction.
Dude, that's the thing with it is like, so it's not even like, I haven't figured out what I think about this yet. I'm still trying to work it out. But the thing that goes through my head with it is like, what do I want her to understand dating is? because like when I was doing it in middle school and high school, it was just like, well, let me back up. When I was doing it in middle school, it was just a title thing. Like, I have a girlfriend. And like, there was probably hormonal things going into it, but for the most part, it was just like, I have a girlfriend. That means I'm not a loser. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just a title thing.
I don't know. I was dating Bryce for a long time, and we actually hung out outside of school, but I don't know. He was also my first kiss, and we didn't know what we were doing.
Right.
But also, maybe it was just a title thing.
Yeah. And then, like, when you get into high school, it's just hormonal. Like,
oh, yeah.
You're just trying to make out and to fool around, right?
Yeah.
So I say that because, like, I haven't figured out where, and I have a little bit of time. I haven't figured out where I want to handle that or how I want to, because, like, the ultimate, to me, what I'm thinking is like, dating in the bigger picture is a way to find a spouse, right? Like, that's what it is at the end of the day. But it's obviously not what you're doing in middle school or high school. Like, you're dating to be close to somebody, have that title on you, and like, justifiably fool around. Like,
that's how guys think. I think the girls actually believe, like, I truly believe Bryce Costin was like the love of my life.
Oh man, that's a good point.
And I thought he was my first love, and I was gonna
totally
marry him.
From a guy perspective.
Yeah,
you're right.
But see, it's and that's how Matt is thinking about it. But I have told Peyton, you're not gonna marry these boys, and if you do, that's like a fluke in the system. You found a loophole, and that's great. I said, but for the most part, you're gonna meet your spouse later in life. However, girls are different. They fall head over heels. Like I said, I was 12 and I was like, Bryce, I had our kids' names picked out. Wow. Like, we're going to get married. And maybe a week later.
Mindset. Holy cow.
Yeah. And I am not looking forward to her first heartbreak, because I do remember when Bryce and I broke up, and I thought it was like the end of the world. Like, it was it. Life was over. I was never going to find another boy. I was never going to get married. Like, let me just shred all these pointless notes. I kept his notes forever up until like high school, because
that's wild.
But the stuff we talked about, in my mind, now I'm worried. Like, what? I don't want Peyton or Ray to get distracted from the goal in school. My grades were not great. I was only passing because I was in cheerleading, and you had to have a 70 or you got kicked off. Wow. That's why I was passing. But my main focus was I was like planning my wedding. At age 12. At age 12, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just not even in a guy's brain.
No.
Like,
no.
All they're thinking about is just like, we're gonna hang out this weekend.
Yeah.
And we're probably gonna make out. Like,
yeah.
How do I make that happen?
Yes.
What do I, like,
exactly.
So
I'm pretty sure that's what his notes said too. Like, no. Although at one point I thought that he was definitely gonna marry me, and I convinced him that there's no way. Now that I'm hearing your perspective, there's no way. He's probably like, I'm gonna agree.
Wow. But yeah, I don't know. It's such an interesting thing, because like, I guess coming back to it, like, dating as an adult is a way to find a spouse, right? Like, and there's a purpose to it. But when you're talking about middle school and high school, it's just like, well, you're not getting married anytime soon. So like,
no, now I'm wondering.
But then like, you're learning how to interact with boys and girls, like
who you are. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like, you're learning how to set boundaries, like, and that's a whole nother conversation we could have gone into. I think we've got to wrap this up, because I think Rosie's on the way back. But dude, we may have to
Jackie
come back.
Part 2.
You literally, dude, you may have to come back.
Jackie Part 2. I'd love to.
It's a way to practice boundaries, consent. Like, there's a lot of things you can learn in it, but it's just like, is it? I don't know. Is it is it worth it? But I don't know how you answer that question.
It's definitely being a parent. You're learning on how you handle things, and the way I handle things is I might be too open. Like when they said, "Where do babies come from?" I was like, "Women just drop them straight out. They're privates."
Nice.
Because people say birds and bees, and they come out of the belly buttons, and I was like,
You know what? That's actually interesting, Rosie. In a similar way, for Jonah and Juliet, we don't refer to their private parts as different names.
No, we don't either. We say vagina.
Yeah, dude.
And
I never
penis.
even thought about that. Like, because what you're trying to do is break the not wanting to talk about it or making it like a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
So like Jonah will say penis, Juliet will say vagina.
Yeah.
Like,
I just didn't know on this podcast what you want me to say. No, we say vagina, penis, wiener.
it's I never thought about it because I mean I just grew up with saying like winky or whatever you want to call it, like and we'll still do it sometimes, like just to be funny, but like it's a very interesting, like that's a subtle way of just getting them comfortable with those terms so that when you do have a conversation later, like it's a bit easier because you can use those terms and it's not like, oh god, like he said, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm freaking fired up right now, dude.
I'm telling you.
I could go for hours on this. This is so crazy.
Parenting has changed.
Can we please do a part 2?
Yeah.
That would be...
You're going to end up in a part like 10 if you at this rate.
So sorry.
I'd love to.
We've got to wrap this up. Dude, thoroughly enjoyed this.
Me too.
You're so amazing.
Oh,
You're an amazing mom, amazing person.
There's so much. We could talk about so much. Told you I need a podcast. Here,
Join
I'm just
podcast.
Gonna start it here.
Let's get it going.
Let's do it.
All right. We'll maybe do a part 2. We'll see. We'll figure it out. But thanks for listening, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.